I think we can at least get some intros from folks, and if we have nothing else to discuss, that's fine. We can break early. But yeah, usually, hey, anybody who's new to this meeting, if you want, feel free to raise your hand and unmute and just give a brief introduction of yourself and what you're interested in. Reminder, we can always follow up through like the sig-testing channel and whatnot for more specifics. But yeah, go ahead.
Yes. Turn on my camera first. Yes, hello. This is my first time with you here. I'm based in Morocco. My name is Mehdi. Hello, everybody. I'm basically here just because I'm interested in Kubernetes, trying to see how I can get more involved and help with improving the project. So I figured out maybe seeing how the project is being tested is a good way to get involved. And yeah, here I am. Nice to meet you, everybody.
Nice to meet you too. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. Anybody else?
Yeah, but just a few seconds, I need to share a link and then I will talk about it.
Cool. All right. Yeah, welcome folks. And apologies that the meeting today, I think, is going to just be probably about this. But yeah, if nobody else has any like last minute things that they want to add to the agenda now, I'll wait for this person to join. Hi. We are just going through the agenda right now, which is currently empty. Oh, sorry. No, go ahead. I just saw the link you sent.
Yeah. I had opened the issue, I think, in 2 weeks ago, and it was for a little issue. It's not a biggie, and it's for a response of CI bot actually. And it's kind of annoying, I think, because when we are deleting things, it's going to like not deleting the CI response. So I just wanted to know the people, response about it. Is it useful? Because I think no one except me care about it, and I want to know the people how to think about that. Is it real issue? Shall we work on it or no?
All right, so link to this is in the notes. I guess I'll simply try to highlight. There, now it's a link. I haven't gotten a close look at this yet. If anybody else wants to also take a look at this real briefly and see if there's any opinions. But I can follow up with some of my coworkers who work on Prow more specifically and ask for their opinions on it as well. Okay, I think having this cleaned up is actually an interesting feature, but again, I'm not too familiar with like Prow complexity or stuff like that, so I will probably leave it to some of my coworkers to respond more.
Yeah, it would be great. Thank you so much.
Cool. All right. Hey, folks. Yeah, reminder again, link here for the notes. And currently we do not have anything else on the agenda. So if anybody else has things that they want to add, please feel free. Otherwise, I will call it good and leave you all the rest of the morning. Or whatever time it is in your time zone.
I had a sort of a broad question that I can add to the agenda if you like.
Feel free.
Do you have a sort of a hand-wavy sense of how sig testing, this is only my second meeting, so I'm basically new. How does sig testing's involvement tend to interact with the larger Kubernetes release cycle? How does, does work ramp up in response to what other SIGs are doing? Or is it more fundamentally reactive?
I'm just recording this the agenda right now. Does anyone else have a good answer to this?
I have an answer, which is just observations as another guy who's fairly new, been around for, I don't know, 6 months or something. And it's so giant that I still don't know hardly anything and feel totally new. I've observed that the work or the interactions or the activities of sig testing seem to be fairly steady because there's always broken tests, and that seems to be the primary things to work on over here. I know that our host is like owner of that test grid. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff to do there. I haven't touched it, and that doesn't rise and fall with releases of the Kubernetes project. I'm sure that's steady and on interactions come in due to bug reports and things of that sort. I know when people write code, they're supposed to write their own tests, and it's not like a release comes out and they yell at the channel, say, "Hey, sig testing, write us an integration test." I've never seen anything like that.
Thanks, that's helpful.
Yeah, my position is a little bit weird because, as mentioned, like I do work on test grid largely, which means that a lot of my stuff is more study work, but I think that matches what I've observed. At least, like, there might be some ramp up or ramp down, but I think it might be, I think sig testing tends to be a little bit more steady, especially with like the major tooling like test grid or prow.
Mm-hmm.
I thought of another useful example. If a release is coming and there are tests that are broken and are blocking a release, obviously action is needed. But frequently those breakages would be due to a new feature or some kind of a change, and then the owner of the change would come in and fix the test. Oh, good, Arno's here.
I hear my name, so I don't know. Is there like a mention?
No, just saying hi. Good to see you.
Just to just to complete what Brian say, sig testing is not responsible for maintaining the project. I think that's the one thing. I think to quickly answer to you, you should check the charter of the sig, and that's going to define the mission and the overall, basically, responsibility of sig testing. So in my, basically, with my act of sig testing membership, I would say that sig testing is responsible to maintain and improve the test infrastructure, basically, which is proud bus codes and all those components around. That's the main responsibility. And we provide help on other SIG, basically, in order to help them consume a Kubernetes CI system. That's the main responsibility right now. So in some case, when there's an issue affecting the CI, we have to basically investigate and solve the problem. I think that's what Ben did last week. Basically, there was like a failure impacting the entire CI system. He came up and decided to fix, and that's the one thing we do. And that's because the charter defines role and responsibility of the SIG, and based on that, we define the relationship between the SIG, the different SIG. So most of the time, SIG testing is involved with SIG, release, and maybe SIG node and kits infra, because those are, I would say, core component per se of the project. Because kits infra manage the underlying infrastructure of the CI system. SIG node manage mostly everything related to kubelet and stuff like that. Ben is here, so Ben may have a better explanation than me.
Thanks, that was helpful.
So I think one thing that I don't see in the notes so far is there's also there's a test freeze step in the release lifecycle. SIG for the E2E tests, we have a number of people in sig-testing that own the like entirety of the E2E tests. So sig-testing tends to be pretty involved with helping get the last push of tests through. So during the release lifecycle, there's a code freeze for general code earlier, after which point it should only be bug fixes, but there's a slightly extended window for continuing to get tests in for new code, or other test fixes. So there's a week or two there where sig testing gets pretty busy with the release cycle, helping get various E2E test related things in particular, as opposed to like unit tests, which are going to be scoped to some package owned by the SIG that owns the code under test. There's also a pretty big crunch on the like CI infrastructure at points in the release cycle, like when code freeze is lifted or when we're going into code freeze, then people have a huge log of PRs trying to get through. So there's usually some keeping an eye on that infrastructure. It's been a lot smoother in the past couple years, but in the past it was a lot more hands-on to keep those things moving. I think at this point the like merge queue and things are relatively mature that we usually don't have to do anything now. It just works. And also, of course, the whole release cycle depends heavily just on the CI infrastructure. Kubernetes only cuts release on green of the release blocking tests dashboard. And there's also an informing dashboard, which is things that aren't quite blocking yet, but are worth looking at. And there's a lot of like general, not owned by any particular SIG test related things that tend to come back to us, including even to an extent the like test clusters. No one really wants to own all of that anymore. And sig testing actually built the kind project for doing test clusters inside the CI cluster. Confusing.
Thanks. That's definitely something I should explore better.
I have an example for you, Nat, from last week. I think a guy who's you'll see in the channels all the time, super active. The username's P only, Patrick. He decided it was time to upgrade some things that were broken widespread in our use of Go Mega, a testing tool that does matching tools to return results of tests and that sort of thing. And we use it all over. That was obviously a task he took on himself, and it was quite large. And when he pushed it in, it broke. So there was a lot of interactions to fix that. It was a surprisingly large break. And I think Ben was in there trying to patch it up too. Anyway, I just wanted to give you that example of how there's always something going on, especially when you got something running the show who wants to improve things.
That was the Python 2 to 3 episode.
No, that was
a different one.
The show, right?
Yeah, we had that one. We had another one. Docker. We just a regular upgrade of the CI images, which like most people just tend to use the images that we build and provide. They also implement some things. Not necessarily the best. Need to get back to the runner that does like Docker and Docker and some things like that. We had numerous projects use BuildX for building, and the BuildX plugin was no longer included in the standard Docker CE install. It's a separate package that you explicitly need to request install, and that just kind of slipped through. And then following that thread, we found other things that someone YAML quoting issues, not quoting a string in it being 1.20 becoming 1.2 Go instead of 1.20 Go. There's a somewhat Rube Goldberg bit of infrastructure for all of that. How do we keep all this test glue running? It's hard to staff, especially now, because it's kind of just a cost center. So we have a number of volunteers around this project to kind of just keep things moving forward. And when they haven't for a while, it's not surprising that it's a little rough to roll forward. Like Python 2 to 3 in 2023. Who would have thought?
Thanks for that.
Good question. All right. That is technically the end of the agenda. Again, if anybody has a last minute thing that they would like to throw on here or would like to speak up about, feel free. Otherwise, I'm going to give it 10 seconds. Okay, cool. Arnaud?
I just want to mention in the incoming weeks, we're going to start work on plug AWS with Prow. So I might need to talk to the people maintaining the existing Prow control plane and also the TL of sig-testing at some point. Or maybe, I think not quickly this month, maybe in March, that we're going to start doing a few stuff. Just a notice.
That sounds good. I assume further follow-ups probably going to be in sig testing and whatnot to follow up offline, but cool.
Okay.
Or yeah, I'll also let some of the Pro folks I know, but sounds good. Cool. Anything else from folks? All right. Yeah, I think we can call it good. Thanks everyone for joining. As always, follow up in sig testing or elsewhere if you need anything. And yeah, good to see you all here.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
See ya.